In the shadow of the Brooklyn Bridge, in a quiet neighborhood of stately row houses, New York City yields another surprise. A brood of egg-laying hens in a small backyard.
We were all just interested in what it would be like to have our own chickens and have our own eggs and not have to buy eggs in the store and not have to contribute to the whole processing complex. All right, come on girls, this is your favorite. People have this assumption that there's all this work and you're actually doing extra work to keep chickens just to have your own eggs and be a little environmentally correct. It's actually easier than going to the store. You just go out to the backyard and, you know, boom, there's eggs. They just show up. I was shocked at how low maintenance they are. You don't need to heat the coop in winter. The only thing you really need to do is make sure that their water doesn't freeze, but they're sufficiently evolved that they don't need blankets, they don't need heat, they just are these egg-laying machines, and they're very pleasant to be around. They don't make a ton of noise, they're fun to watch, they're social, they have their little pecking order, and they get in fights, and that's kind of entertaining sometimes. Having these chickens, I've discovered a little bit more than I knew before about where eggs come from and how eggs are produced, and it can be a very environmentally, you know, damaging and also sort of inhumane process where you have these huge industrial egg factories where chickens are kind of jammed in huge densities in cages, other places where they're not in cages, sometimes called free range, but there's almost an equal density of chickens. You can have organic chickens that are in cages, organic chickens that are jammed into a giant hangar that are not in cages. As long as they're eating organic food, they are being raised organically. And then there are chickens like ours that are not densely packed at all, so you can see that their coats are extremely full, very lustrous, they look so healthy. All of our food that we don't eat, they eat, comes out in chicken droppings. They're a little composting machine. We don't have to bag leaves and leave them on the corner for sanitation to sort of pick up and use fossil fuels to cart out to wherever. We just dump the leaves in here. They absolutely love being in this huge pile of leaves because their, you know, adapted behavior is just to scratch and scavenge. And as soon as you have this big pile of leaves, you start getting all these bugs in there that's a shelter for insects and stuff, which they go crazy for it, but then all the scratching breaks the leaves down. And so you have like 12 bags of leaves reduced in the span of a week to the equivalent of one bag. But then that's mixed in with all this chicken poop, which becomes this incredibly fertile compost, which we then put in our tomato beds, and we get the most gigantic tomatoes. We have no illusions, it's just a tiny little drop in the bucket, but it's rewarding in the same way that building a chair or a table is rewarding. Hey, I made that. And we just think that for the kids, it exposes them to the idea that your food just doesn't magically appear on a plate from the kitchen.